I wanted to record my thoughts on the new Lego Batman game. I'm just gonna say this right now. I have barely any positive thoughts on this title. That is how I'm going to start this off. But I'm going to start positive first. So, here's my positive thoughts on this Lego title. I believe the gameplay looks splendid. It looks like it's taking a lot from Lego Star Wars The Skywalker Saga in terms of gameplay, which is cool because that has a very good combat system and traversal. So, I do enjoy these aspects of the game. That's all my positive thoughts. Now, for the rest of the video, which is going to be negative. I do not like how this looks at all. Past Lego Batman games were original stories. This one is not going to be original. It is going to be based on multiple Batman films instead of being original like every other one. I don't like change. Therefore, I am angry. But it's, in all seriousness, I'm not that enraged by this, but change of things, of going for a different direction. But what I don't like is I miss the original Lego DC game format where it was an original story and we just went through this adventure with all of DC comics instead of, well, let's go back to Batman again because Batman sells. Okay, I guess cool. I guess that's fine. I mean, I wouldn't mind a Lego Batman game if it was an original story, like Lego Batman 1, but that, and then again, that didn't even have voice acting, but at least that one was original, with it not having voice acting anyway. Where I thought the Lego Batman games really got good, and the first one I ever played was Lego Batman 2, and that has the whole Justice League. The Lego games for DC are like the only things that adapt DC to like a comic accurate extent, and they actually seem like they care about these characters a little bit, except they're making it for a child like friendly market, like something like almost modern day Super Friends, almost, I would say, is what the previous Lego games were. And like even Super Friend or DC Supervillains was almost like that, almost is how I describe that. So them going in strictly Batman territory is like, okay, that's boring. But even with it being boring, I'm gonna say that, you know, it's cool. Batman's cool. You know, I like Batman. He's my third favorite superhero, so, you know, it's cool. But then again, like I said, this isn't an original story. We're gonna be just repeating Batman films again. It seems like some of the things I see here, I'm like, I don't want to play this. I don't really care for this at all. Yeah, I didn't really care for like seeing the Dark Knight Joker again, and we get things like the Batman car chase. Like, I don't need to see the film regurgitated to me again. Thank you very much. I would prefer if you went back to the original style. Thank you. You know, Lego games have always sort of had this thing where they base their stuff off films, but the only ones that didn't do that were Lego, Marvel, and DC because they had comic material to work with. So them kind of resorting to regular Lego game formatting for Batman is just disappointing to me, but maybe some other people like it. Maybe they like seeing the films just regurgitated back to you, just worse. I don't know. That's just me. Yeah, I'm not a big fan. Not a big fan of the approach. Character designs, I'm not a big fan of either. They're mostly based on film. From what I saw, a lot of them were films I didn't like. Well, I don't hate the Dark Knight trilogy, but I'm not the biggest fan of the Dark Knight and Dark Knight Rises specifically, which I know is an unpopular opinion. I like Batman Begins, so. Yeah, I'm not a big fan of seeing those designs. I'm not a big fan of those designs being represented in the game. I'm not averse to them putting the films in Lego DC games, but I prefer them as side content, like in Lego Batman 3 and in Lego DC Supervillains, where they were just DLCs, where it would be just like some extra level where you play through the film condensed in one level. I thought that was cool. You just get those characters through the DLC. Yeah, I'm not a big fan of this. Just feels very Lego Star Wars-y, and it's fine for Star Wars. I don't mind it for Star Wars, because Star Wars doesn't really, it's not like DC and Marvel where you have the source material be something other than the films, because Star Wars, I feel, is like strictly the films and shows, where DC and Marvel are kind of just branching, ever-expansing universes of things. Yeah, and I hate the use of the new Lego Batman cowl for the Batman design. Not a big fan. Not a big fan. So, yeah, like I said, not a big fan of these designs. I like the gameplay. Seems like the open world is going to be cool. The Gotham City, the best Lego DC Gotham City is from Lego Batman 2. That one does have its problems. Like, I know especially when I'm going through that world, I'll see like some of those like like the Lego minifigure statues, and they're not even exactly connected to the building. It's not perfect, but you know, it's got the general vibe and everything. So we'll see how much I like the hub world of that game. Yeah, that's generally my thoughts. I'm not a big fan of them going with a less original take where the others were more original and they were less member berries. I would say I prefer the less member berries than just going, you remember the Dark Knight when Batman interrogated the Joker? Remember when knockoff frickin' League of Assassins Bane broke Batman and was nothing like his character in the comics? Remember? My general hope was for another Lego Justice League game, or like a Lego Justice League game. We haven't had a Lego Justice League game strictly, so I was hoping for that rather than Batman again. That does disappoint me. I was hoping they would do what they set up at the end of Lego DC Supervillains with Anti-Monitor, because Anti-Monitor doesn't really get adapted much in anything, so it would have been cool to see like a Lego game centered around Anti-Monitor and everything, where they set up that in the end of DC Supervillains, and I think that would have been cool. I'm a big fan of Anti-Monitor and Crisis on Infinite Earths and Darkseid War, which it seemed like they were setting up Darkseid War for a Lego game. Would have been interesting. I don't know if that comic would fit a Lego game, but they could have adapted it for a Lego game. Yeah, not feeling it. I'm not feeling it. I'm not feeling this Lego game. Not a big fan. It's pretty much my general thoughts. I've repeated that several times, but that's pretty much my thoughts. Not a big fan. And the fact we're stripping down the character roster to only like 7 or 8 is like, oh, that's disappointing. Because like even the smallest Lego game roster from Lego Batman 1, or Lego Batman roster anyway, was like 50 plus characters. So going strictly down to 7 is okay. That's a choice. But I get it because the gameplay kind of calls for that. Because if you're going to be designing the system strictly for stealth, it's kind of like, why would you kind of rebuild it from the ground up like that, like 80 different times for like a character like Green Lantern or the Flash or Superman that have a completely different set of abilities? So I get it on a game design level, but it's not very interesting having only 7 characters and strictly going with Batman to me. I want to see the Justice League, because we don't get Justice League games, and Lego was kind of the only way to get those. So it would have been cool, but we're going with Batman. Yay! We're going back to the guy that gets games constantly, and I believe we just got a Batman game last year too. Yay! I think Arkham Shadow came out last year. I think so. Don't quote me on that. It might be 23, but by far he gets the most games out of every character, and I would have liked to see that. It would be fine if we got more DC games that weren't Batman, but we don't. Wonder Woman got canceled, so I was looking forward to that, and then it just kind of got shot down. And then the only other gaming franchise for DC that even tries to do the Justice League is Injustice, and that's not faithful at all to any of the characters. It kind of has trash versions of everybody, especially like my number 2 guy, which is Superman. So yeah, I'm not a big fan of that being like the only option now. Unless they go back to doing the general DC stuff for Lego, which I would greatly like. If this was like a thing that came out and was just kind of forgotten about, and it's just like, oh yeah, that happened. Kind of like a Marvel Avengers almost. Yeah, those are my general thoughts. I'm gonna stop rambling now, but yeah, generally I don't like this idea. But yeah, thanks for watching.